Looking back now, I can see that all of my history books, my work over the last 2 decades, are all set in the first third of the 20th century, maybe the first 40% of the 20th century. And I have, perforce, not by decision, I've become an expert on the first 40 years of the 20th century, in the US in the first 40 years of the 20th century. There's no question that there's a connection, but it was never a decision to do that. So the Rockefeller Center book led to the Prohibition book because in the Rockefeller Center book I wrote at some length about the 3 square blocks that were occupied by 228 brownstone buildings, most of them flop houses, whorehouses, speakeasies, and not your high-end Fifth Avenue tenants. And in doing the research at the Municipal Archives, I saw how much the Rockefeller interests paid to buy the ground lease for each of these buildings. And this one is $1,500, $1,350, $1,700, $65,000, $1,900, $2,100, $800, $90,000. I said, what the hell? And then those were speakeasies. And I said, my God, here we are. This was 1929. The Prohibition had been in place for 9 years, and the value of these places was through the roof. I said, Prohibition, wow. Has there been a recent history of Prohibition? And in fact, the last, I think, really good scholarly history had been published in 1964, the last decent popular history in 1981, and here it was 2005, and I saw an opportunity there. And so I wasn't able to use much of the material from the research for the Rockefeller Center book, but it certainly informed what I was doing. And somewhat similarly, the Prohibition book led into the Immigration book, because the Prohibition book, one aspect of it was how the Prohibition laws were directed, politically directed at the immigrant populations, of the Catholic and Jewish immigrant populations that had taken over the big city political life in the big cities of the Northeast and the Middle West. Those same people were the targets of the anti-immigration laws that I write about in The Guarded Gate. So one leads to another, but they are not, each one is its own research project where you begin from square one.